Welcome to Sarge's Jungle Radio Station, where you're not on the front line, but you are online. You are listening to 5 Down, featuring 5 harmonica players. This song is from my CD, Vietnam Blues, Combat Tested Blues for Peace. Available on cassette, CD, and the new DVD, featuring my Nam photos in slideshows with each song. This show is a blast from the past, where I dig out my old interviews from another online radio show I did a number of years back. These interviews are with many of my music friends, so hang in there and enjoy the show. Excuse me while I tear up this harmonica. My guest for this show is my good friend Lee Oskar of War fame and creator of the Lee Oskar line of harmonicas. Lee is on the phone line from Washington State. Lee, what's the weather like there?
The ground is all on fire because all the evaporation looks like smoke.
Wow.
But it's a pretty amazing look here.
Must be beautiful.
We haven't seen sun for quite a while, so it's a phenomenon here. Now I know you guys are used to the sun, so it would be like one day raining there. It'd probably be.
People start asking for refunds when it rains here. I was up there recently, and I was talking to a local guy up there, and he said it only rains twice a week up here, once for 3 days and once for 4 days. So we know what you're up against there.
I grew up since I was 6 years old with a harmonica in my hand, and I've always been in love with the sound of harmonica. But as you develop your techniques and whatever, with the tools, it's like anybody. You become more demanding of what the instrument or the tool should be doing. And I've always been one of those people who takes things apart and curious how things work. So, through the times, from the time I was 6 years old, I've always been curious and opening up harmonicas as well. And so, to put it in a nutshell, I was very frustrated with the tools that were out there, with the harmonicas that existed. And I also always felt and learned through experiences more and more how harmonica works and what makes a better tool. And so, therefore, I decided, after I was so damn frustrated with what existed out there, and been designing all kinds of neat harmonicas and ideas, that I got so frustrated that I actually, from a musician, got decided to also get into manufacturing. And once you start manufacturing, you learn a whole other thing. You learn the practicality of. You can't be impulse. What I decide and what my designs are today, not only is very costly, but the end result, as far as the marketing thing, you don't even know what it's, how well it's going to do till a year later. And you can't change your mind in the middle of the stream because it's not something handmade. It's not an impulse thing, per se. So, quality and everything besides a good idea is very important in manufacturing. And now there's a lot to maintain. I'm very pleased with what we do. Thank God, the instrument that I wanted turned out in manufacturing to be what I've always wanted. And thank God a lot of people out there who are using it feel good about it too. And I don't have the headaches like other companies. I don't have a lot of returns and repairs and that kind of stuff.
Right. Yes.
Quality control, and so that's a blessing,
Yes. Well, and another thing that's proof that you've made a serious innovation and advanced the instrument is the fact that everyone's just bumping elbows to come in and steal your designs and everything. Tell us a little about that.
That's, I mean, some people, say, well, it's very flattering, people copying. But from a real business side, when you're out there, competition is very healthy, but at the same time, it does bother me when other manufacturers are actually literally copying some of my designs. And I do want to mention that this all couldn't have been done just with my knowledge, my designs. It took a factory that I manufacture at Tombo, Tombo, who their whole family, like 3 generations now, have been making harmonicas, not the same style harmonica as the Lee Oskars, but many other types of harmonicas. And so with their expertise and their incredible quality and craftsmanship, between them and myself, I feel really good about what we've done. And I think harmonicas, up till we came out with harmonicas, was, at least by manufacturers, thought of as just as a toy or novelty, something like that,
Yes. Well, many of the brands still are.
Well, yeah, but I think it's getting more and more serious because even, the other company, Horner's, perhaps was asleep at the wheel, and they woke up when I came around because, frankly, they weren't used to another manufacturer giving them competition. And so it's healthy for everybody when harmonicas, competition, and creating new ideas comes up. It makes things grow, but certainly not if all they do is just trying to copy and chase after what I do. That doesn't make me feel good. But I think there's a lot of good stuff that's come out of being more than one harmonica company out there. So
yes. Competition is a good thing.
Yeah.
It can get carried away a little sometimes.
If I may say, the idea with my designs was also the system is that, once a reed is fatigued or blown out, of course, it's silly that the whole harmonica has got to be wasted or thrown out. And I think it's a good thing when people catch on with my designs that the system itself, the Lee Oskar harmonica system, is all interchangeable parts. And not only is it economically practical, but I think it gives you a sense of more understanding how the harmonica works, and rather than it being a mystery. And so people can get very creative when they learn how to tune even, or change reed plates. They can mix and match different, reed plates. They can create different scales. There's all kinds of neat things you can do with harmonicas, and I think it's going to get to another level. It's getting there already, to another level where there's incredible players that are coming out of the works because of harmonicas has now been looked at as being an instrument that can do a hell lot more than what people image was in the past.
Well, you're on the cutting edge of that, Lee. That's for sure.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
You've taken the harmonica from an accent instrument to beyond a lead instrument is what I would have to say about your latest music.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm a frustrated singer, so my harmonica is my vocal cords, is the way I sing.
Yes. Now, Lee, what in the world is tuning a harmonica reed all about? I know myself, I've taken your harmonica course, but tell the folks how you go about actually changing the pitch of a particular reed.
In all the years, anybody who plays accordion or harmonica, any brass reed instrument, the ones that have been technically aware of the instrument know that it's basically you can shave the reeds, and that can change, obviously, the weight distribution, and it's going to vibrate faster or slower based on where you shave the reed. So if you shave the reed by the free end, it's going to get lighter. It'll be less weight at the free end, so it's going to vibrate faster, and therefore it's going to be high in pitch. If you want the reed to be low in pitch, you want it to move slower, and the way you would do that is to shave down by the pivot of the reed, so it's weaker there, and that makes the free end heavy, and so it moves slower. So there's nothing new about that, but knowledge has been out there, but it certainly hasn't been shared with too many people. And I think once anybody who plays harmonica, for example, learns understand that basic fundamental theory and how to tune, and using the right tools, of course, and experimenting with all reed plates as well, will find it's fascinating. It's like mixing colors. It's like, if you want to change one reed to another note, you can. It's not just about keeping it in tune, but you can also create different scales. I mean, it's a wonderful application, once you know how you can change the pitch, the tuning on any particular reed. And that's just by shaving either the free end or the pivot.
That's been a hidden technology from harmonicas for obvious financial reasons. If you buy something for $10 or $12, you're not looking to take it to a repair shop. If something goes wrong, you just go buy another one.
And it's something the other manufacturers didn't want to share or wasn't even interested because it wasn't part of their marketing thing. Marketing for harmonicas was like a toy. It was like it could be Boy Scout, it could be Trucker harmonica, it can be Fisherman's harmonica, you can call it any, it's the same instrument, but the color plates will have all kinds of different names to attract different kinds of walks of life, and that's been the marketing on harmonicas, basically till I came around. For me, and for anybody who's seriously, whether they're professional or not, playing harmonica, it's nice to learn how the tools work. And once again, if you learn how to tune, and you learn how reeds works, it just opens up all kinds of windows of opportunities to play all kinds of different types of music. And I think it's a good thing. Now, I want to just mention, when you learn how to do it, you learn to use the right tools. For example, I encourage people, when you shave the reed, I literally shave it with a chisel or industrial razor blade or a chisel. I would say safer rather than using a file. A file can prematurely take the life out of a reed because it's not in smooth surface. It'll create like uneven surface, so therefore there's going to be weak spots and stress, especially if you're taking metal off the pivot.
Yes.
So but they can get a book that comes with our toolkit, or we can, if they just want a book, sometimes we send it out for free. And anything we can do to educate people about harmonica is free of charge. We encourage them to write in and ask for any information, and we'll be happy to give it. Or they can look at our website, I guess, too,
Yes, that would be www.leeoskar.com. And you can check it out. You can read all about Lee there, and you can read all about the Lee Oskar harmonica. Lee, you have gone beyond the A through G keys. You've got all kinds of different keys, and you've actually redone the progression of harps to produce entire new lines of harmonicas. Can you tell us about that?
You can create all kinds of scales once you learn how to tune, but we've manufactured 4 different, they're all 10-hole diatonics, basically. In other words, they all have 20 reeds, 10 holes. There's 2 reeds to each hole, a blow and a draw. They're all the same size. They're all the same cost. I want to mention that other companies, as I said before, have only what we call a major diatonic harmonica.
Yes.
And if they like blues, they'll call it blues sub. If they like going fishing, they will call it fisherman. If you like the Boy Scouts, if you like Marines, you can call it Marine Band.
Yeah.
But frankly, musically, they are all the same, major diatonics.
Yes.
So we make 14 keys the major diatonics. As you know, there's 12 keys in music, but we include also a low F and a high G.
Yes.
And then we have 3 other tunings we make besides the major diatonic. The other one is called a natural minor, and we make that in 12 keys. Set up in cross harp, but based on the draw, you are in a minor, natural minor scale.
Yes.
So the key on that harmonica is labeled in cross harp. So if you have a G natural minor harp, that means you're in G minor when you draw. And it's wonderful for reggae and for minor blues or for all kinds of jazz.
Yes.
And then we make also the harmonic minor, which is labeled in first position, just like the major diatonic harmonicas, which is in 12 keys. And the harmonic minor is a wonderful mode or scale that internationally is used other than the Western world. I mean, it's anything from Russian, Yiddish, Chinese, Japanese, Gypsy, you name it. It's a real soulful, Eastern European, very soulful mode, and that's harmonic minor. And then the 4th tuning we make is, I call a melody maker, because it's also set up in cross harp, like the natural minors, the keys label and cluster, but we make only 5 keys, A, C, D, E, and G. Did I miss one? A, C, D, E, and G. Yeah, 5 keys. And it has the major 7th on the draw and the minor 7th on the blow as chords, and it's great for all kinds of jazz, pop standards, reggae. They're just wonderful. All of those different tunings are really important. Makes different types of motif of music.
And in the past, only the best harmonica players could play these keys by making certain notes bend that you've already tuned as if they were bent.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes it very friendly and very easy. You know, the idea to me is that it's not important how difficult. I mean, to me, the achievement is not to. It's not about how difficult it is to be able to play a note. I mean, that's a process. To me, the most important thing is the end result, musically, how does it sound? And if I can make harmonicas not only the quality and the system, but set up tunings where people can easily attempt to play different types of music, you know, where it's very friendly, where it's without them bending and twisting the mind and whatever it is, to trying to get an overblow and overdraw, you know, that to me is a good thing, you know.
Yes. Well, there is no harmonica on the market that's more player-friendly and more educated.
Well, thanks, Sarge.
Well, I know I'm sponsored by you guys, so it's kind of like hearing from the choir, but I'm totally sold
but
on
I'm not paying you to say that, so I appreciate.
No, but we could talk about that, Lee. So, Lee, you are a founding member and former lead harmonica player for the pioneer funk jazz group War, and you guys just had hit after hit after hit from 1969 through, I believe, 93.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Can you tell us how you got started with War?
Wow. I guess I could say I was just very fortunate and blessed to have been at the right time, right place. I mean, you know, there was, like anybody, we all survive and, you know, swim or sink. And, you know, it was, I don't want to sink, so I swim and you try to go through the right doors and whatever, and to get, you know, things happening. And man, I was just fortunate. I met Eric Burden in Los Angeles, and he and I would go down to this club where I would get in for free, and there would be a lot of jam sessions, and Eric and I would be jamming. We used to jam first with Mike Pinnell and the Blues Image, and then we were going to go on the road. But Blues Image made a deal with the Atco Records, and they came out with that hit, The Ride, Captain Ride, I believe. So Eric and I went to another club and met this band there called the Night Shifts, and they played at a club called the Ragdoll. It's called now the FM station in North Hollywood. But back then, they were this band called the Night Shifts were backing up a football player by the name of Deacon Jones, doing these one-arm push-ups, singing romantic tunes, and that's kind of a little cheesy for me. But anyhow, when I walked into that club and I saw that, and then when this guy took the break, the football player, Deacon Jones, I got invited up, and I sat in with the band, and we jammed. And, man, it sounded good. I think they thought I was Eric Burden, but because they heard the rumor Eric Burden was coming in or something like that. But anyhow, Eric and I and the nucleus of that band called Night Shifts, we all got around next day at this place there on the swimming pool eating breakfast and talking about being a band and, you know, backup band for Eric. And so we ended up calling Eric Burden and War, and the rest is history. I was just very fortunate to be at the right time.
Wow. Back then, you jammed with some of the greats of the 60s and 70s, you being among them. Can you tell us some of those folks?
Well, I mean, one of the tragedies that we all, you know, anybody who knows about Jimi Hendrix, I mean, he was probably, I mean, in my opinion, one of the greatest guitar players. I mean, he got influence from a lot of people. He was a blues player, basically. I played with a lot of top blues, artists in the United States, I believe. But, you know, when you hear his playing, I mean, you can tell that he came from a lot of roots from the blues and was influenced by a lot of great guitar players. And it kind of molded into something very innovative, his own thing, you know, and some brilliant playing. So, you know, me, just like anybody else, was in awe of his talents, and he was blessed that he got acknowledged, of course, because, I believe there's always been a lot more great things out there than we even know about. But he was one of those cats that had a lot of props and got a lot of attention and was marketed, became bigger than life. I talked to him a year before he passed away. I met him at Eric's house, and he was there with Eric talking because Eric and him had a lot in common, Eric Burton and Jimi Hendrix, because the guy named Mike Jeffries, who was the manager for the Animals, apparently, typically ripped off Eric Burton and the rest of the guys from the Animals because this guy handled all the business, and I guess just like a lot of musicians didn't know how the business worked, or maybe didn't care. So, what they didn't know how to claim, they didn't get. Mike Jeffries was known to be, totally a rip-off, and all the money has ripped off from the Eric Burton and the Animals. He apparently, invested money and built and marketed Jimi Hendrix. And Jimi Hendrix was upset because he wanted to grow and create different types of music, and he felt he was stuck in a certain mold based on what he had done on stage and how everybody had perceived him. As he became a huge, successful artist, he was trapped in this thing that he felt he had to be on stage and burn the guitar or whatever he had to do. Yeah. And he wanted to do some things differently, and he was afraid to do that because he was afraid not to be accepted. So there was this torment, and I could see this guy going through a lot of changes. And unfortunately, a year later, when we were in London, England, our first Eric Burton War gig, we played at Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club, which is known to be a hardcore jazz club. I mean, it's got the Coltrane, Thelonious Monk, you name it.
Wow.
Anybody that's hardcore, I mean, in real jazz, played Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club, and certainly was not known to have rock and roll or anything like that. But Eric Burton and War, we played in that jazz club, and I know they were happy as hell because the register was going, and they made a lot of money, so all of a sudden we were the greatest thing they ever had. And we were on the front page of the Melody Maker newspaper, which is a music magazine in England. Front page, best live band ever heard. So there was all this hoopla going on. I remember the second day we were there, Jimi Hendrix came in to sit in with us, and I remember also that he wasn't feeling very good, let's put it that way. He was messed up on something, and he wasn't feeling very good. And so he wasn't in the best shape, let's put it that way. And Howard Scott, our guitar player and War, played incredible. But the vultures out there who's like competing, would use that and say, man, Howard Scott is great, and better than Jimi Hendrix, and embarrassing. How the business side wants to compete to make their turf look better than somebody else's turf. Anyhow, so Jimi Hendrix, I was in awe, being on stage, he coming up and jamming with us. Unfortunately, the next day, we thought he was going to come back, and he didn't show up, and then there was a call from Monique, his girlfriend, Cherry McVeigh, who is our tour manager then, left in the middle of a gig. Rest is history. He was found, taken to the hospital from Monique's apartment and died,
Yeah.
We were told not to talk about it, and, because there was one of the things I really couldn't even mention now. I really shouldn't mention, how he died and all that stuff. But that was made a strong impression on me. I mean, just the casualty of something like that,
Lee, let's take a break, and let's listen to the original Lowrider from War. Would you like that?
Sure, I love that.
I would, too. Ladies and gentlemen, Lowrider. we're back. That was Lowrider by War, featuring Lee Oskar. And Lee Oskar is right here with us, and we want to thank you all for tuning in, and also tell your friends to check us out. All right, Lee.
Yes, sir.
Oh, we're back. What a great classic song that is.
Thanks, man.
Just, it will never lose popularity. That's
let me
classic.
tell one funny thing here. Since we came out with the Lowrider, we were, at that time, War was like, especially very popular with a lot of the communities that were into, lowriders, and
yes.
The lowrider cars they put together, some incredible machines. It's truly one of the unrecognizable arts in the United States. Is that here's these guys who will take, from junkyards and take frames from various different kinds of cars and put something together almost from scratch. And then, sanding it down and make it look like one car, and a beautiful paint job, and the motor you can eat off,
Yeah.
This is an amazing art, If I was either Ford Company or Mercedes-Benz or any car automobile manufacturer, I would jump on that and say, and give those guys, in those communities, a lot of props and promote them as like how incredible they take what ends up being junk to other people from cars that we manufacture and turn it into the greatest automobiles,
Yes.
That is something that should be recognized. So what happened with us is we were like the ambassadors to all these lowriders, and every gig we played, we were always called on to be the judges.
Oh, yes.
That these car lowrider, where they would have literally hundreds of incredible, riding machines. Driving machines. These beautiful lowrider cars, and we had to pick the best winner or not.
Whoa.
There's no way. To us, they were such incredible machines. All of them, they all should be winners. But since we were putting that stunt, we would leave town before they would announce anything because we didn't want to kill us because they would think that we were the ones that voted number one, number two, number three, and the rest of it didn't even count, and that's the way it was.
Yeah.
So we always told the promoters, no, don't put us there because every one of us should win.
Yeah.
So I just want to let anybody know out there that if you ever were mad at work, if your car didn't get a prize, it was not because of us.
Okay.
You deserve it. You deserve to be number one. All of you.
Uh-oh, monsoon time. We better get in the bunker. Welcome to Sarge's Poetry Bunker. We'll hunker down here till the rain stops. My favorite blues bar in Phoenix, Arizona is the Rhythm Room. A few years back, I gave a Vietnam Blues combat-tested Blues for Peace CD to my friend Bruce, who was the manager there at the time. When I came back a week later, the waitress and the bartender told me that Bruce had played my CD over and over for 3 days while he laid on the front of the stage listening. Bruce was a door gunner in Nam, and my music had an effect on him that happens sometimes to combat veterans when they hear my songs and poems. In fact, the only complaints I've ever had on my music was from the families of veterans who have had to hear it too many times. Anyway, later, Bruce and I were sitting at the bar with 5 or 6 friends when Bruce decided to embarrass me in front of the other guys by asking me to make a parachute jump with him that weekend. You know, good clean Army fun. Well, I was not about to give him that satisfaction, so I immediately answered yes. Then I told him that I had a couple of requests, and he said, "Sure, Sarge, anything you want." I requested a cameraman to jump with us and film us all the way down for promotional purposes. And I requested that we use the jump to do some good for the community. Bruce was more than happy to oblige. We didn't jump that weekend because we needed time for press releases, flyers, and all that. But 30 days later we did. The jump was covered by local TV news. They even came to my house to get a copy of the helmet cam footage to use on the noon news show. So, what could have been just two friends having fun ended up raising $1,200 for homeless folks in Phoenix. Ladies and gentlemen, the poem Bruce and Me. Bruce and me are buddies, and Bruce, he likes to fly. He steps right out of airplanes when they're way up in the sky. Bruce and me are combat vets. We fought in Vietnam, and somehow we're both still alive after parachutes, bullets, and bombs. Now Bruce sometimes gets grounded for waiting much too long before he pulls his ripcord. The ground's his Viet Cong. Once Bruce and me went flying from 13,000 feet. Last time I jumped, a rice paddy was first to meet my feet. Since I hadn't jumped in 26 years, they strapped me to a pro, so we would jump in tandem when the pilot hollered go. I rolled right out the doorway. Bruce and me were supposed to meet, but his glove hung up on the airplane, so he dove 4,000 feet. Then there he was right with us, like Superman he came. Grins and salutes we traded, 'cause life is just a game. Yes, Bruce and me are buddies, and Bruce, he likes to fly. He steps right out of airplanes when they're way up in the sky. Hey, it's quit raining. Let's get back to Lee Oskar.
Now, Lee, you have been doing a lot of solo projects. You were with War for 24 years nonstop. And since
Never missed the gig.
Pardon?
Not even missed a gig, that's right.
Yes. And a perfect attendance record, I believe that. Yes, and you have been acclaimed being the #1 instrumental artist of the year for 1976 in not one but 3 major industry magazines, Billboard, Cashbox, and Record World.
Oh, well, you've done your homework, man.
Now, this is, Leslie did it. This is really amazing, and this is what you've done since you left War. Let's start off.
No. Those albums, the first album that was #1 instrumental artist of the year, that was while I was still with War.
Oh, okay.
And that was a very important statement because traditionally, I mean, it's always been that once a band, gets popular, then if somebody then steps out and does a solo project, that it's always been, they left the band.
Yes.
To try to make the solo career. And that was not at all what I did. I was so proud to be part of this band. I mean, we were like a family. I mean, it was. Yes. We lived and breathed the music. We grew with it. We grew together in making this music. And my whole dream was, well, if I may take a minute and explain to you, what happened was, because I was so loyal to all the guys in the band, anything musically I would put on the table. Anything that I had in my head or wanted to put out there. Mm-hmm. So usually anything we did as War was always jamming. So I came in the studio one time with these compositions I had composed, which was a different approach than just creating stuff, like all the stuff as War was created there together.
Yes.
But that's a different approach than saying, hey, I got a song I composed, let's all do this. So they all tried it, and it just didn't fly. It was like it was going against the grain. So what I realized is that each of us, not only me, but I'm assumed everybody in the band as individuals, probably had other musical things in them that perhaps didn't necessarily jive the 7 of us, in playing.
Yeah.
That also needed to have an outlet. And that doesn't mean that you have to leave the band. So I was proud of the fact, I was very pleased the fact that I had an opportunity to do my first solo album. As a matter of fact, the harmonica in the front cover that's flying to, that's like flying to to make the statement that I'm part of War, and this is one of the spin-offs. And the ultimate spin-off was if all 7 of us would have solo albums, and they will all do well, let's say, be on the charts, and at the same time we still play as War, too.
Wow, yes.
That would be a very powerful message that we're all there supporting each other for the music.
Yes.
You know? And may that be the priority here. And so that was my whole wish. But every time I went on the road to promote my solo album, people say, man, I'm glad you left War. I mean, some almost insulting things, like, I'm glad, it's really good you went on by... And I said, no, I haven't left War. I'm still in War. Oh, I know, it's great you left. It's like goes in one ear, goes out the other. Like they all expect what they've seen other people do, they thought I did the same. So anyway, I never left War when I did the solo album.
Yes.
That's that.
Yeah. Lee, I'd like to play another song off of your CD. This is, how about From So Much in Love?
Yeah.
I'd like to tell the folks that both your wife and my wife are named Leslie.
And spelled the same way, too.
Yes. So
Amazing.
this song goes out to Leslie and Leslie. And the name of the song is Leslie's Song.
Right. Thanks, man.
From the So Much in Love album by Lee Oskar. Okay, we're back, Lee. What a lovely song. I just love your harmonica music.
Thank you.
Now, tell us a little bit about what you started doing. You sort of went towards a jazz direction after war. Tell us a little bit about how that came about.
Well, jazz is well, if I may say this, categories of music, I think it's good maybe, or it's a tool for marketing, in that the fact that I'm like a vocalist to my harmonica, but still it's not considered vocal, or it's not, and I don't have lyrics. So being instrumental automatically, because it doesn't have lyrics or singing, automatically people want to identify as being jazz or whatever,
Yeah.
But to me, it's just music, and there's some funky sides to my music, and there's some bluesy sides to my music. There always will be, but there's also that part of me that likes to play like real pretty, romantic, ballads. I love ballads. I love playing that kind of stuff. And no matter what I play, it's always going to have, it's always going to be soulful. It's always going to be bluesy. Because that's how I feel. But I love playing, like pretty melodies and ballads. And so maybe I've done plenty now that I've kind of been satisfied now. Now I'm getting ready to do some funkier stuff in the near future. But, I've been doing a lot of stuff, like, for example, There's So Much Love album, a lot of pretty stuff there. I just finished recently a beautiful project with a lot of Brazilian standards. One of the most famous standards on this project is Gingy, which is pretty well known, but there's State, which is actually an Italian tune, Dome Profondo, Aqua de Mars, all kinds of beautiful Brazilian standards, and a couple of original tunes too. And
Yes.
Aieto, who is considered one of the great percussion players. I mean, one of my favorite players of all time. He plays with Dizzy Gillespie, a lot of people, Aieto, and his wife is Flora Purim. A lot of people don't think of him, he played with Weather Report too for a while, but a lot of people don't think of him as being a drummer, but he's everything. He's percussion, and he plays the trap set. He's amazing. He plays inside the music, so I was very fortunate to have him on the sessions for this album, Brazilian music, that's called Reflections. That's the name of that album.
Yes.
And Abe Laboyle on bass, Wayne Johnson on guitar, just some neat stuff. And I want to also say, Sarge, an album I did 10 years before, which finally got released, a few years ago, was other standards, like In a Sentimental Mood, Georgia in My Mind, When I Fall in Love.
Yes.
Now, these albums have done really well in Japan and Korea, and I haven't released it anywhere else yet. I'm planning to release an album picking tunes from these various albums called maybe Romance, because it's like the best of Lee Oskar, these beautiful different melodies I've done through different projects, and I would like to put out, it's called Romance. So there it is.
Wow.
Oh.
Lee, you know what? I would love to hear a cut from your Brazilian project, from the Brazilian project you just did.
Can we do Gingy?
Oh, I'd love to.
Oh, man, that's yeah.
Let's cut to that right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Gingy, pronounced G-I-N-G-E, but spelled D-I-N-D-I. Gingy. Okay, we're back, and that was Genji with Lee Oskar from his new Brazilian album. So, Lee, after your career with War, you have gone in a direction that is straight from the heart and straight to the heart. The most beautiful love music I've ever heard is in So Much in Love. And now I understand you have something new going on that's a little new and a little old. Can you tell us about SOB?
Oh, yeah. SOB stands for Same Old Band. And really what it is there's a dispute over the trademark, the name War. So we legally can't call that War. The four original members, myself, Howard Scott on guitar, Hale Brown on drums, and B.B. Dixon on bass.
Yes.
So the four of us, we said, the most important is, of course, is playing the music we love playing. And the name is not as important as the music, of course. And we have a right to say we are the original guys who created and recorded Lowrider, Cisco Kid, Slipping in the Darkness, The World is a Ghetto, The Spill of Wine, we can go on and on. We have a whole bunch of hits, that's really the essence and most important thing to us is to continue playing our music, regardless if we can't use the name War or not. So we decided to call it SOB, which stands simply for Same Old Band. And we out there now, we're doing, gigs. We're not on the road every day, because that's not necessarily the purpose, but we out there playing different special events, like we'll be out New Year's Eve and playing some nice concerts. We travel around different places. So it's nice to get together and do some real good music with four original members that grew up doing a lot of music together for so many years.
Yes. Now, the band that is allowed to call themselves War only has one original member.
Yeah, that's Lonnie Jones, who I think is, to me, is out there mimicking what we all did, and he's a good mimicker. Lonnie Jordan has always been a great mimicker, and so he's doing what he's best at, is mimicking.
But we know where to go
to find the authentic stuff, and that would be SOB.
That's the four of us, right?
Same Old Band.
Right. There's those seven original, two of us, Papa D. Allen and Charles Miller has passed away. Rest his souls, miss those guys.
Yeah.
And there's only five of the original left, and four of us out there playing as SOB.
Wow. Lee, I want to give you a personal thank you for all that you have done for Leslie and I. You've flown into Phoenix on 5 separate occasions to do benefits with us that Leslie and I put on. You were just here 2 weeks ago when we flew into Seattle to do the Women Veterans gig over Veterans Day.
Right.
You pick us up at the airport and drive us all the way from Seattle to...
Well, you guys mean a lot to us, and I see that you're really for real, and you do a lot of wonderful things for the community and that. And I feel I'm the one to say thank you for allowing me to be there, to support and do any, for those kind of good things, because it makes us all feel good when we can help provide. But it wouldn't happen without your energy, because I don't have 100% or 24 hours a day to dedicate myself to that. So it's really nice to see guys like you and Leslie, committed to those good causes. And I'm grateful that I know you guys and can hopefully be of some help and support at any time, when it's needed. So there it is.
Thanks so much, Lee.
You got it, man.
I want to tell the folks they can reach you by email, lee@leeoskar.com.
Right. Yeah.
That would be linked at the website. And you can also purchase albums through the website. There's links to where it's being sold.
Yeah, and I would think any record store, you could order anything that's out currently.
Great.
If it's not out currently, maybe I'll have a tough time finding it. Go to a used record store and buy my CD for 50 cents, maybe.
Hey. Well, Lee, thank you so much for being with us today, and I want to close out the show with Lavender Song.
Oh, cool, man.
I think that would be an excellent one to
Thank you, Sarge.
go out on. And again, we can't thank you enough, Lee. The fabulous Lee Oskar of the Lee Oskar Harmonica Company, and for all that you do for worthy causes, to take time out of your schedule to come and help us with the Well, we did harmonicas against hunger for St. Mary's Food Bank, and you're helping all the time. And bless your heart, Lee.
Thanks, Sarge.
We're going out right now with the Lavender Song by Lee Oskar.
Thanks for listening to Sarge's Jungle Radio Show, where you're not on the front line, but you are online. Please check out my other shows and tell your friends about Sarge's Jungle Radio Show. This is Sarge Lintecum signing off.